Hey folks, my name is Tim Collins. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to take a look at the early career of the legendary vibraphonist Bobby Hutcherson. Bobby Hutcherson has been one of my favorite players since I got into the vibes, but I first discovered his recordings. You know, he has a lot of Blue Note recordings, but those are all kind of like mid to late 60s stuff. It was maybe last year when I sort of went down a rabbit hole. I had this mission. I wanted to look for the easiest Bobby Hutcherson solo I could find because I wanted to use it as a transcription and maybe make a lesson out of it. I actually ended up doing that, by the way, with his solo on Grant Green's record called Idle Moments. I'm not going to say that it's an easy solo because I've given it to some very experienced percussionists, like professional classical musicians. I've had them try to learn it in the past years, and they told me they found it very difficult. So the easiest Bobby Hutcherson solo turns out is not very easy at all. And I found it really interesting to go back and listen to some of these cuts because these are not tracks that sort of come up in my, daily conversations about jazz history, or like when you talk with other musicians, everybody knows the big records. They know the Eric Dolphy Out to Lunch. They know Total Eclipse with Chick Corea. They know the stuff that Bobby did with Harold Land, for example. I've seen Bobby Hutcherson play. I've seen him more than I think I've seen any of the other famous vibraphonists. I never saw Milt Jackson play. He died a couple of months before I was planning to go see him in 1999. He was going to play in Syracuse. I was in school in Ithaca, and I was looking forward to it, and then he passed away. But in 1997, I, for the first time, traveled to New York City, and I did get a chance to see Bobby Hutcherson there at the Iridium. I'll never forget, they spelled his name Bobby Hutchinson on their ticker. That was actually the day that I decided I'm going to really become a vibraphone player. I will never forget it. It was Bobby Hutcherson, George Cables, Harold Land, Curtis Lundy, and Victor Lewis, 1997. The place was pretty empty. There was like nobody there. So me and my friend, we sat at the front table right in front of the vibraphone. And I just could not have been more moved by the music that we heard that night. Also, side note, I was so shy. I mean, I was sitting at the bar, and Bobby Hutcherson came up to the bar to order a drink, and I was just sitting there. All I said was, "Hey, I enjoyed your set." And he was like, thank you very much. And I should have said, I'm really interested in playing. I should have asked him for a lesson, frankly. I have no idea if he would have taught me one or not. But now, I mean, one of the biggest regrets in my life that I did not actually have the courage to just say hi. I didn't think I was ready for a lesson with Bobby Hutcherson because I had just started playing the vibes. I needed lessons just to play anything. Bobby Hutcherson didn't need to waste his time on me. Anyway, the point being, going back and listening to the stuff that Bobby recorded when he was 19, 20, 21, from 1960 to 1963, I found some really cool recordings, and we're going to go through them here and check them out. So Bobby Hutcherson's early career, and you can already hear what an incredible musician he was, what a voice he had. There's some really signature things that you hear him, he's already doing them at age 19, which once again reinforces my belief that you don't have to try to discover your own voice. You just have to play what comes naturally to you, and that's your voice. So let's dive in. We've got a couple of recordings that were recorded on August 3rd, 1960 with Les McCann, and there's bits of two tracks. They're both blues. The first one is called Oatmeal, and let's listen to a little bit of that. This is Oatmeal, the first ever recording that Bobby Hutcherson played on. It's a blues in B flat. So you get the idea. It's some pretty straight up blues. We got some call and response. Let's go to the vibraphone solo. You can already kind of hear that special time feel. Oh. Using those 13 sus shapes. 19 years old in this recording. Man, it's just fully formed Bobby Hutcherson right there. One thing that he does, he's already doing a lot of, it's the idea of on a B-flat 7 chord using an A-flat major 7 shape over the top. And basically on any dominant 7th chord doing that technique. Because what you do is you end up with this dominant 13th sus. I'll show you. So on that B-flat 7 chord, he's actually outlining this kind of an F minor 9 over that. And then he goes up. And that's a real common thing that he would do on the B-flat 7 chord. So instead of playing B-flat 7, he's either using like an A-flat triad or an F minor in its place. And it adds to a lot of the harmonic movement that he uses often in his solos. Something else that I completely forgot to mention is Bobby's unique use of the damper pedal. And if you watch videos of him playing, you'll see that the pedal is constantly going up and down, seemingly unrelated to the rhythm of what he's playing. And that's actually on purpose. And what it does is it gives it a much more legato feel. And let me demonstrate without the iPhone. I'm going to actually turn on the camera above. And I will be doing this with the pedal, and you'll hear that the sound is just much more legato. And that really is a huge part of Bobby Hutcherson's unique sound on the vibes. So that was Oatmeal. Let's listen to one more Ham Hock, please, which is from the same session. This is a C minor blues. 1, 2, 3. Starting out. Dorian right away. When he plays double time swing over the top is... Ooh. He likes to play the F and the D as kind of singing notes of the 9th and the 11th. All right, so some hallmark harmonic language already because, right, on the A-flat 7, he's playing A-flat 13 sus. On the G7, he's playing G13 sus. Two very Bobby sounds in there. Now I want to go and show you some tracks. In 1960, he also recorded some stuff with Curtis Amy and Frank Butler. The record is Groovin' Blue. Let's listen to a little bit. There's a lot of blues. B-flat minor blues. We're hearing a lot of the same language, right? That's B-flat minor. And he's still doing a lot of the same kind of dominant 13 sus chords on the G flat 7 chord and the F. So in this one, we were in B flat minor. And he's... And then when it gets to the G flat 13 chord, so if the chord is G flat, he'll go down a step and play the major 7th. So E major 7. And then we end up with 7, 9, 11, 13. And then the F13 would be... That type of sound gives the harmonic movement a much more open feeling, right? The sus sound is way more open than a straight up dominant 7th chord, right? He's not really using so much alterations, right? He does it sometimes, but the language is much more modal sounding in a way. Now I want to get to some really fun stuff. So there's a trombone player named Al Gray who played with saxophonist Billy Mitchell, and Bobby Hutcherson was introduced to them sometime in the early 1960s in California, and he began playing with Al Gray, and there's a bunch of great tracks here. This is Stella by Starlight. Bobby plays an intro. They play the tune in the key of F, and then he plays one chorus. So I'm going to show you the intro, and I'll show you the chorus. So this is from an Al Gray record called Night Song with Billy Mitchell. It's already instantly recognizable, just the way he plays that. Something about the way he plays those triplets, instantly recognizable as Bobby. Now let's listen to his solo. So swinging, so simple. There's nothing being kind of like forced upon us harmonically. Just plays the tune beautifully. He already has his unique touch. So that was 1962. It was released in 1963. This is another Al Gray record. This is from a record called Having a Ball, and it was released in 1963. This is it's kind of like a cheesy little pop tune, but I love the arrangement. Bobby plays this intro, and then he plays a solo that's like 10 seconds long, but it's just the idea of like playing 50 choruses on a jazz tune and then getting to the good stuff. Like, you know, back in these days, you had a job to do. And this is music that is meant to be consumed by normal people. And you have 8 bars to take a solo, and somehow you can still create a lasting work of art in those 8 bars. I find that to be really, really incredible, and Bobby was able to do it with ease. Let's listen to this. This is a tune called I Don't Want to Cry. Let's listen to the intro, and then we'll find Bobby's little short but sweet solo. That's it. That's the intro. He plays 4 bars, and you can still tell that it's Bobby Hutcherson, right? I feel like if that were a blindfold test, I would recognize it. Finished chord. I love that arrangement. It's so nice. It's so cute. Makes you feel like the world is sometimes a good place. Let's listen to Bobby's solo. Okay, here it is. Back to the arrangement. So he just plays over that part of the melody. That one arpeggio that he always does is such a classic Bobby sound. I'll show you what it is. So it's a C major chord and he starts on the 5th. That's what he does. Such a simple arpeggio, and yet his identity is somehow built into there, just in the way he touches the instrument, the way he phrases that triplet, the way he heads that crescendo. He doesn't just go, it's like, there's so many musical peaks and valleys just within that one little phrase. Until now, most of the stuff we've listened to, they've been kind of blues or that one little pop tune we just heard. Now we're going to get to the stuff where we have some excerpts of Bobby playing live where he's just going off. And this is another recording with the Al Gray group. This is on a record called Snap Your Fingers, and a couple of the tracks were recorded live at Birdland in 1962 in New York City. So this would have been exactly when Bobby turned 21. And this is a track called Minor on Top. This is a song by Thad Jones. It's a blues and it involves these stacked thirds. This is a live track, so it's pretty long. The vibraphone solo starts about 3 minutes in. We're going to listen to the whole thing, and man, there's some burning fire inside this. F blues. Starts nice and simple. Ooh! Hang on, I gotta stop that part. What is that? Man, I can't even really do what that is. This is where we start to hear Bobby doing this chromatic stuff. Let's listen to that again, and then I promise I'll shut up. Here's the top. Kind of repeats the same phrase as before. Going up. The way he lets this thing ride. A little distorted. The sound that's how it is on the original. Fourth chorus. And he's still holding it back. That is swinging. That's the first time he played the D chord. That's a Bobby thing. Make a note of that. Okay, so there are some big takeaways from that solo. Things that he did to build it. Okay, that's like 10 choruses or so. The first 6 choruses, he didn't play that much harmonic complexity. Basically going... He's not really leaving F. He doesn't play the 6th chord at all. We never hear the A minor. You know, we never hear that until maybe the 5th chorus. He's basically just sticking to kind of F blues. Yes, there's some chromatic stuff. That's what I consider a very, very Bobby Hutcherson type of role. He's just letting the whole thing slowly build and build and build. And in the moments where you kind of expect him to play something, he doesn't. And then the rhythm section is like, oh, we know what's coming. And then it just builds up slowly and slowly until finally the dam bursts. And then he starts hitting us with all that diminished stuff. I mean, that's not exactly what he played, but he did some kind of stuff that breaks free of the actual chord structure. And then we get that one thing where he plays, what does he do? It sounds to me like he's doing kind of like a minor triad, and then the chromatic 7th, and then the flat 7th, and just does that in half steps going down. E flat, D flat. I mean, you could kind of do this. Somehow the way he's doing it just sounds so good. I mean, all these are going to be linked below. By the way, obviously, because I'm using all this music, this video is going to get demonetized in like 1 second. So if you want to support me in some way, you can subscribe and like the video and leave me a comment. You can check out my online store where I'm selling sheet music and lessons and blah, 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 blah. All right, I've got 2 more for you. So basically, I wanted to focus on this stuff before he made his own name and became a leader and started recording his own records for Blue Note. And that's really not that long because it was very quick. It took him 3 years to get signed to Blue Note. His first Blue Note recording, however, was as a sideman, and that was with Jackie McLean on a record, One Step Beyond. This was recorded in 1963, released in 1964. Bobby Hutcherson now is suddenly taking on the role of the piano player, and he's going to be comping with 4 mallets on this record, and his soloing is great. The compositions on this album are a bit of a departure, right? So everything we've heard up to this time, it's like blues, 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 more blues, and then a pop tune. But Bobby Hutcherson has many more sides to his musical personality. I just think it's really interesting how, no matter how avant-garde he got, no matter what he did, he was heavily grounded in blues and standards and melody. He knew how to play melody in any context whatsoever. You're going to hear how he takes that and moves it into a new situation on this Jackie McLean album. This is Frankenstein, which was composed by trombonist Groshan Mankur. So let's check the beginning so you get the mood of the piece, and then I'll show you Bobby's solo or part of it. It's like 1960s horror film soundtrack or... Okay, you get the idea. That's the vibe. It's a little strange, but I'm going to fast forward to 6 minutes and we're going to listen to part of Bobby's solo. A minor to B flat minor. Those thirds again. Actually playing A13 to B flat 13. minor. Tony Williams. Really interesting stuff. And when you consider what we just listened to, that's 1 year later. He's 22 at the time of this recording. One more track from this same record, this Jackie McLean record. It's called Blue Rondo. Not Blue Rondo a la Turk, just Blue Rondo. And this one, Bobby comes out firing. Let's listen to the beginning. B-flat blues. Did you hear it again? That's that same arpeggio that I just played you on that pop tune, except in a different key now. Now it's in B-flat. Continuing on. One thing that occurs to me, when you play sort of anything that kind of just goes into that strange vibe, and then you go back and play a blues afterwards, man, it feels so good. Contrast, right? Music is about contrast. We can't all play one thing all the time. The more variety, the more range of expression you can access in your own playing, I think. And man, Bobby, at age 23, this is how, like, all that, what we just listened to is from when he was age 19 to 23. Just a phenomenal musician, someone whose spirit I still greatly miss. I hope this has inspired you to go back and check out some of these older recordings, some of the lesser known stuff, because there is some real gold in there. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Tim Collins. Please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.